Good morning. My name is Farrokh Mistree, and today is the 17th of January. I'm delighted to moderate a conversation with young Zoroastrian professionals. The theme today is on getting the most from the college experience. There are three parts to it. One is planning, and Nazneen Mistry will be sharing her experiences in planning and transitioning from being a graduate student to a professional. The second theme is networking, but networking not just in the sense of professional networking, but also networking in terms of building relationships between family, between people. And Farzin Avari will be sharing her ideas along those lines. And the third part is selling yourself. And Karishma Koka will be talking about that. And the idea here is not just marketing yourself, but how you develop the competencies so that you're able to grow as a human being, professionally and emotionally. This webinar series is sponsored by the World Zarathustra Chamber of Commerce. And the mantra for the World Zarathustra Chamber of Commerce is that one proceeds and does things, one grows through building the spirit of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship in the World Zoroastrian Chamber of Commerce domain is defined as the pursuit of opportunity beyond the resources that have been controlled. We have three forthcoming conversations. On February the 21st, we have Farzin, Karishma, and Hosherdar, and they will be dealing with the theme on being happy as a Zoroastrian graduate student away from home. On March 20th, we have three panelists: Neville Shaw from Hong Kong, Ravi Shankar from the J.N. Tata Foundation, and Ryan Pereira from the United States Information Services. And they will be talking about career as the creator of wealth. How do you set your career up so that you create wealth? And here the focus will be creating economic wealth, social wealth, or intellectual wealth. On April the 18th, we have three panelists: Aisha Rawadi Rao, Benush Setna, and Gursas Surush. And the theme there will be success from the perspective of education, that is Aisha; finance, working in finance from the perspective of Benush Setna; and medicine from the perspective of Gursas Surush. The plan for the conversation today is as follows. Opening, what this webinar is about 5 minutes, and that's what I'm doing right now. Panelist introduction. Each panelist will introduce herself for 2 minutes. Then there's a commentary, the academic journey to the issue of interest to the participants. Each of the panelists will talk for 5 minutes. And then it'll be moderated, and Hosherdar will come along and synthesize. And at this time, we are looking for questions for the panelists. These are directed questions for clarification, and you put them in the chat, and Hosherdar will tell you more about that as we proceed. And then there's a dialogue for 45 minutes where we will, you could ask anything, talk anything to anybody who's on the call. And then we'll have some closing remarks. Where we'll sum up and we'll proceed to the next step. So what are we about? The World Zarathustra Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with the Zarathustra faculty and academia, envision empowering Zarathustra students to learn how to create economic, cultural, and intellectual value. The mission of the Zoroastrian Faculty Network is to facilitate Zoroastrian youth through higher and specialized education to pursue careers in industry, government, and academia as business entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and knowledge entrepreneurs. The ZFN webinars, these are conversations to help Zoroastrian youth with support of their parents. What is very important is support of their parents to attain higher and specialized education. And this initiative is supported by the Adi Zetna Scholarship Funds, and the information is provided below. So with that, I invite Nazneen to introduce herself, and then introduce the next speaker, and so on. Nazneen, the mic is yours.
So currently I'm located in Hackensack, New Jersey, and I've pursued my Bachelor's of Commerce and Master's of Commerce from the city of Mumbai, back in India. I currently pursued my Master's of Financial Analysis from Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. And currently, I'm working as a financial analyst, and I'm here to assist the youth to achieve their goals ahead. Next would be Farzin.
Hi, I'm Farzin Avari. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Georgia. I got my master's degree in science education from Kennesaw State University. I'm currently working as a virtual science teacher and a beta club sponsor at Georgia Connections Academy, which is a um, virtual school district. My passion is um, to watch children learn and grow and thrive. Um, so next, I'll pass it to Karishma.
Thank you, Farzin. So I'm Karishma. I'm in London, and my background is in neuroscience. I have a PhD from the University of Cambridge, which I consider a way of growing. And a little bit of my work has been in computational neuroscience with a background in environmental science, chemistry, and biology for my first degree. I've started at the Ultimate Achievements Academy with my mother, where we work on learning and development and empowering individuals through education for the good of all by bringing people together. So I'll hand you back now to Nazneen, who will take you through her journey on transitioning into a professional.
Thank you, Karishma. So, first, I'm going to talk about my academic journey. My focus in career choice was to always pursue finance and accounting, and that is the reason I pursued my bachelor's in accounting and master's in finance. For this, my parents have always been extremely supportive, and the motivation to get a graduate degree was to build a good career base and excel in it. My influences have always been my parents and professors. Now, I'm going to talk about the lessons from my academic journey. I would always recommend students to set up a plan well in advance and pursue a career in which you have keen interests. Make the best use of online resources available and have consistency in your grades as your grades get evaluated by World Education Services, which is the best in the United States, which basically converts your grades as per American grading system. Next, I'm going to talk about in advancing my career about my advancing my career goals. What went well was that I pursued the right course, which was a core program available in a few universities only. And what did not go well was the COVID situation, which affected my job search as it was difficult to get a job. A lot of companies were downsizing. So I approached many Russian organizations and individuals in the US to help me with my job search. After a period of 6 months, I have finally secured a full-time job at a Russian-owned company in the US with the help of WZCC. Since my new location will be Houston, the Zoroastrian Organization of Houston has also extended a lot of support and have volunteered to help me in various ways. I would always recommend that you have a backup plan as well if things don't go the way you want, and and you should always be adaptable and flexible with the situation that you have to face ahead. And you should also look out for different opportunities, like even look out for employers who would require you to work for them, or else look out for even business opportunities that are there. I would also recommend you to weigh the pros and cons of various universities before seeking enrollment to them. In tips for parents and young Zoroastrians, I would say communication is the most important amongst parents and the children. You need to communicate and let your parents know what your plans are. This will help them in putting the whole plan in action, such as financing. Keep your parents well informed so that they stand by your decisions as well. And do educate your parents about your plan and let them grow with you. Parents should also assist their children to pursue higher studies and encourage children by giving them courage to face new challenges with a smile. As I mentioned earlier as well, that communication is important between parents and the children. You should discuss and arrive at an actionable plan with a realistic timeline. So then everything would not be last minute. I would also encourage students to liaise with professors to seek core information of the program, as they will be able to provide in-depth knowledge of the course you wish to pursue. Next would be Farzin, and she'll be talking about building relationships.
So education was always the center of my home. From a very young age, my brother and I were taught the value and the importance of continuously learning and growing. My parents were always supportive, even if we didn't agree on exactly what I should be studying. I started out my undergraduate career as a chemistry major because my parents wanted me to study medicine. And as I took time to reflect on things I enjoyed and I was good at, I pivoted my career to focus on chemistry education. I approach each situation as a learning opportunity. For example, as a graduate student, I watched more experienced teachers teach, and I took notes on the things that I found helpful and equally on the things that I did not appreciate. And what that taught me was it taught me how I wanted to build my classroom. For me, it's really important to build relationships, not just collect business cards, because staying in touch with people gives me the opportunity to continue learning from them. For example, I met a career counselor at KSU, and we were talking through some workshops, and I stayed in touch with him over the years, even as I continued my teaching career away from the university. And when he left the university, he told me to continue to reach out, even though he no longer worked there in that role. So that's really important for me. I try to build relationships with people that I can learn from and my students as well. It's really important for you to take the time to get to know yourself and to continue to add each lesson to your repertoire. What has always helped me to understand myself is to set out any thoughts and stay organized. When I struggled to find a good organizer, I started creating my own Zartusti planner, not just in the sense that I added the Roj names into my calendar, but in the sense that it helps me organize my thoughts and live a life with intentionality. And if things don't work out as planned, the thoughts that you've written down each day help you to regroup. So my advice to parents and young Zartustis is find your tribe, find those people who support you professionally, who support you socially, those members of the Zartusti community that continue to help you and guide you through your way. I would really suggest asking questions of everybody. Ask them what they enjoy about their lives, their jobs, how do they get there? But also ask, how can I help? How can I contribute? Because I think that makes a really good partnership for a lifelong friendship. And for me personally, take notes on everything. I know I've taken notes on conferences and several years back that I go back and flip through the notes and try to find somebody's contact info and stay in touch with them. So that's my advice. Next, I'll pass it to Karishma.
Thank you, Farzin. It's amazing how Farzin brought out such wonderful values and how to align oneself with others. The title for my talk is actually Selling Yourself or Marketing. And I've retitled it, as you may wonder, to add the value of your self-regulated mind. There's a reason for this, and that is I find that adding value and having a portfolio of work is what sells. So it's a journey from knowledge through thought to action. But before that, let me tell you a little about my own academic journey. My education, so I'll take you through the first quadrant, has been in neuroscience, focused on learning and growing. My parents, like everybody's parents, together with other elders in the family, faculty members, and my friend, have been stakeholders. They've invested in me. And I value that greatly. My career has been science, but if I look at it retrospectively, it's the development of the mind, how to grow. And I have tried to pass that on to others through our work, where my aim has been to catalyze the growth of individuals and teams beyond available resources in line with the WZCC, so that the outcome is greater than the individual sum of the parts. So it's synergistic. And I have two take-home messages for this synergistic message. Together with my mother, I was able to do a PhD when my supervisor had virtually abandoned me. And my father gave me the journey of the 5 Ps, which I would suggest you look at yourself. Perfect preparation promotes proper performance because the process is under our control. And you'll find notes on this in our webinar of the November session from last year. Now on to the second quadrant, lessons from our academic journey. The facts learned joyfully are our fundamental stay. So we have a word in the Zarathushtri doctrine, rafedrai, to celebrate, to joyfully do things. And that helps growing the mind and helps self-regulation. Self-regulation is investable. One becomes reliable. But competency, like Farrokh said earlier, is key. So the skills we accumulate to learn from both successes and challenges is key. Now, in order to do this, the journey of college is very important because in order to market oneself, one needs to gain skills. So the skills could be, for example, earn while you learn. Take up a job at university that helps you build the portfolio through maybe teaching, maybe assisting your lecturer. Another skill, the third one in the second quadrant, is to build credibility through being systematic, organized, yes, joyfully so, but systematically so that we advance harmony and happiness, which is Ushta, the combination of orderliness, happiness, and harmony. Now let me take you through quadrant 3, which is advancing our career. Mine has been going from job to entrepreneurship. Something key that I found is to be able to evaluate whatever the situation and strategize a way forward. Now, my workplace closed down, the Medical Research Institute, and we started our academy together with my mother. Being able to do that allowed us to add value by helping individuals learn. Now, if I look back to quadrant 2, it was increase skills, where I said earn while you learn. So the skills I gathered during my journey as a student in university enabled me to advance my career by starting up our own academy. Now, moving on to quadrant 4. Tips for young Zoroastrians and parents on the journey. So the context is the journey. You heard from Farzin where she talked about building our network. So I'm a fundamental believer in growing as a team. Now, in order to do this, discussion and the building of resilience, or what is emotional quotient, is critical. In order to do this and create value, whether it's intellectual, social, or economic, goes with the context of the Zarathushtri lens, which is to be steadfast and find ways right through the college or childhood journey, through university, to find combinations of intellectual, social, which is my story, or any other combination of these 3 principles of the WZCC and the ZFN. The Zarathustra doctrine has a formula for this. It takes us from learning to make choices and growing the mind to taking good action. So the Yasna 30.2 states, listen to all good things. Reflect as an individual upon it. So kakaya tanuye narim. And then decide. A decision must be followed by action. So India, Hunavarda, Yatha, Huvairyo, we say take good action. Shatrim. Now Shatrim is actually a combination, as Ervad Ramya has taught me, of strength and power. So to advance Aura Mazda's kingdom is to take good action and then share it with those, not just lesser fortunate, but share it with your team, so that we become an investable, sellable, or marketable product that is based on a portfolio of actionable themes throughout our journey. And to do that with happiness while advancing Ushta is actually a Farrokhism that Farrokh Mistree has talked about before. So if you go back to the December and the November sessions, he says, happy people are successful people. Successful people are not always happy. So when you look back on your journey as a college student or a university student, you'll then be able to feel that fulfillment, that joy, that beautiful experience that you have had, and take that with you through life as a marketable, investable individual, together with your parents and your other stakeholders. Now I'll pass you on to Hosherdar Polad, who will synthesize some of these ideas for us and take us forward. Hosherdar, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Karishma. So I'll be synthesizing, and my section is about questions for clarifications as well. So first, I'll give a little brief about myself. My name is Hosherdar Polad, and I'm located in the Waterloo region of Canada. I have a bachelor's in the financial markets and a master's in business management from the University of Mumbai, and I also have a degree in human resource management from Conestoga Business School. Currently, I'm a human resource administrator at Christian Horizons. My passion for being in this group and in life is giving back to the community in whatever way I can and in however I can. You all can contact me on my email address, and that is my link to my LinkedIn profile. So I'll start off by synthesizing all our three lovely panelists today, starting off with Nazneen, who took us through her journey from graduating into a professional. So a couple of key points from her slide is plan in advance your career goal. That is really essential when you're planning your career goal. Communicate with your parents your goals. As all three of our panelists mentioned, that communication is key in whatever you do in life. And communicating with your parents your goals is also very essential. My third point is have actionable plans with realistic deadlines. So the key takeaway here is actionable plans and have a realistic deadline. The fourth point that we'll take away from Nazneen's talk is, in the year 2021, as everything is progressing, educating your parents and making them grow with you is very important. As you develop, you should also communicate and let your parents grow with you, as nowadays you might have more knowledge than your parents. Moving on to our next panelist, Farzin. Building relationships is utmost key in life. As she mentioned, surround yourself with positive people in whatever aspect and create deeper relationships and connections. And a really lovely statement is, just do not collect business cards, but build better relationships. Another very interesting point that touched me is be comfortable with yourself in whatever you do. You should know yourself and you should know your strengths, and you should be comfortable with yourself and do what you like. And as mentioned, communication is a two-way street in building any relationship, may it be academic or professional. Moving on to our third panelist, Karishma, she touched upon really key essential points that about knowledge, thought, and action. A couple of points to synthesize is add value to whatever you do in life. Be systematic and organized is really important. Be a self-regulator and be adaptive. Everything you plan in life might not go your way, so you have to be adaptive and flexible in your life. The last takeaway is be investable and robust as a human being. As she mentioned, be the product you would like to buy. And to sum all three of our panelists together, and in my takeaway, in these three short statements, is starting together is a beginning. That's related to Nazneen. Working together is success. That is with your relationships you build. And keeping yourself together is progress. When all these statements come together, that is the path of success. So now in the chat box, please list your questions for clarifications to the panelist and name the panelist and the questions. Now we can open it up for questions via the Zoom chat.
Comments, questions from participants or Burzin or let's see who else. Isar, Vezan, Burzin, Kayomi, Gursas, Nancy, whoever. Would any of the panelists like to add? Would any of the ZFN core group like to add to what is taking place here right now?
Can I speak directly?
Yes, Burzin.
Yes, so exactly. Since I have been trying for Canada for my master's in data science, and my question is related not directly to the degree that I want to do, but since you said that communication is really important and building up relationships, so does location of the place where you're going to go study matters to you? Because a lot of my friends in US were isolated in some very weird places, and due to which we couldn't go to meetups and a lot of things or events that happened in that place. So do you think actually choosing a university based on its location matters?
Hosherdar, would you like to respond
definitely.
to that?
Definitely. I would say from my personal experience and directly addressing your question about location, is location important? Yes, in some ways it is important, but if you find a course that you're really interested in, which is located in a university, which is not located, I would say, in a very convenient location, please do not keep location as a priority. Please keep the course as a priority. And as far as location is concerned, yes, the university, if it's located in a big city and it is known in and around, location plays importance. And if you're coming to Canada, again, it's a huge country. And if you're looking at the community, yes, we have a very big community in Toronto and Ontario as a province. And then we are located in BC as well, where a few of us are there. So as Nazneen mentioned, with the help of a community, she was able to find a job. Exactly. But looking at her locations as well, she was present in the US, but now she's relocating to Texas. So the community is very helpful in that way as well. So I hope I addressed your question. Yes. As I said, the location sometimes helps, but please prioritize your course and your interest before that. Yes. And doing research in the location is also very important. Maybe the company you would like to join later on after your course. So as Nazneen mentioned, have a plan in advance and have an actionable plan with a realistic deadline. So if you start from, okay, that is my final goal, and then walk back from that. So that would be my feedback.
Thank you.
Hosherdar.
Nazneen, would you like to add to that?
Sure. I would rather say that once you decided where your courses, get in touch with the organizations that are the Russian organizations, as they also would be able to help you out to connect to a lot of Russians who would be located in your nearby localities. So at least you can get in touch with a lot of people. You can build your network in the locality where you're located as well. So that would really be very helpful. And as Hoshida mentioned, keep your course as a priority. That's the most important, because that is because basically you're going to pursue that, and later on you're going to relocate it once you have a job. It's not going to be that you're in one location and you're going to be located there itself. So it's only for the time period of your program that you're going to be located in that location. So do look out for the course first and then the location.
Thank you. Anybody else?
You know,
We have
for
a
me,
Yeah, Farzin, go ahead.
For me, I don't ever look at just one particular thing as a barrier to what I want to do. I try to incorporate all the things, because no situation's going to be perfect. But if you have something that you're interested in studying, the people that you are working with are helpful and willing to go out of the way and helpful, then that, I think, weighs a little bit more on the location. So I'd look at everything collectively.
Anybody else with questions, comments?
Oh, Farrokh, there's a question in the box.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Dinah Vadia asks, my question is, how can someone find a mentor in your life? So if any of the panelists would like to take it up.
May I take that
Yeah.
up?
Go ahead.
Yes, please. Karishma.
Farrokh, will you please stop sharing your screen so we can see everybody, please? Thank you. So Diana, in order to find a mentor in your life, it's important to do what Nazneen and Farzin suggested, and which Hosherdar synthesized for us. And that is, in order to add value, communicate, align your values with the people who have similar values. By doing that, you will find a person, whether it's an academic mentor or somebody who helps you with your hobbies, so that you will find joy in building your competency. So rather than looking for a person, combine it with what you want to achieve, the job you want to achieve or the task you want to achieve. And then look for the qualities of a mentor in that person. So it's a value-driven, for me, it's a value-driven process. Anyone
What
else?
I always,
Yes,
Go
Diana,
ahead.
you want to say something?
go ahead.
Farzin, go ahead.
What I always look for, and what I advise my students is, surround yourself with kind, compassionate, intelligent people. And if you build that circle around you, then you have a support system, because you've made connections with people who are caring and willing to help. And so if you, I guess I'm a firm believer in, you are the company that you keep. So if you surround yourself with kind, compassionate, intelligent people, then you will find mentors everywhere.
Idil, you wanted to say something? Anybody else add to the comments that the questions that were made, or start another conversation thread? Yes, Farrokh.
Just a minute. Let someone take it on. I'll come back later.
Okay. Any other comments? Right. So to answer the two questions that have been, yes, Bertin, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question was, we talked about assistantship, getting an assistantship. So in case I'm planning to go for September intake and I already want to plan or book my assistantship before going to the university. So I just needed some tips with that.
Well, we have had 3 webinars, and we've touched upon finance in the last webinar. And we've touched upon how to select a graduate school in the first webinar. And we've touched upon how you go about preparing to leave the university, leave India or Pakistan or wherever you are to get to the other university. So a lot of the answers have been given to you out there. But let me summarize your answer. In terms of picking a university, you've been told that you need to look at not just one thing as to where it's located, but in terms of perhaps is there a Zoroastrian community around? And very importantly, do they give you financial assistance? Financial assistance is given for people who have good grades. So if you have good grades, you're likely to get financial assistance. What is even more important, particularly in the sciences, is that you apply for a PhD. If all you say that you want to get a master's, universities, particularly in North America, more so in the United States than in Canada, want the master's people to pay full tuition. Why? Because this is how they make money. So what you need to think about is that if you apply for a master's, the value that you offer the professor is very limited, extremely limited. I, for one, only take PhD students, or people who have the competency and interest in doing a PhD. Why? Because you have to give value to me. If I'm going to support you, you have to give value to me. And this is particularly true in the United States. This is less so in Canada and even less so in the United Kingdom. So if you're looking for a master's and you're looking to get financial assistance, then think in terms of Europe and the United Kingdom rather than Canada or the United States. If finance is what you're looking for, and if you're committed just to getting a master's. If you're thinking about a PhD, it's a different story. Now, to get a PhD, you really truly need to have good grades. And you need to know how to approach and sell yourself. How do you sell yourself? How do you put the application together? And I thought you mentioned that you wanted to start in fall of 2021. It's too late for that. The earliest you can do things is fall of 2022 for the United States. Now, it may be different in the United Kingdom, and I will invite Karishma to talk about that in a bit. The second question about mentoring, I want to touch upon that a little bit. What is extremely important is for you to know yourself, and the message that came out that has been put forward to you is keep the company you want to keep. So if you are a giver, then you will find people who will also be willing to mentor you. Unfortunately, there are too many Zoroastrian people who come and get a higher education here, and then they turn their backs on the Zoroastrian community. This happens again and again and again. Oh, this is it, old-fashioned, hoi, 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 I'm going to do something else. So if you do not have it within you to give to the community, then guess what? Why should somebody invest in you? So ask yourself that question, to what extent? Why is it, what gives you happiness? Happiness is foundational, and Karishma has touched upon the notion of happiness, that you live life to be happy. What makes you happy? It is giving and helping others, sharing what you know, growing. This is what is the happiness and Mistree is about. So with that, Karishma, please add to the opportunities, and if Zenar is there, for him to talk about the United Kingdom, and Vesan certainly talk about the opportunities in the Netherlands. Go ahead, Karishma. I'll come to you, Aisha. Go ahead.
Farzin, you want to do something in 2021, right? Unmute yourself, Farzin. So 2021?
Yes,
So,
2021 or in January, yeah.
So my suggestion is this. In order for you to get a course in 2022, like Farrokh correctly said, one needs to have enough time. But that can be a great opportunity in the country that you want to be in to start looking for a short job. So an opportunity is not something that presents itself. An opportunity is something that you find in a way that you can add your might to it, your value, your skills. So if you are thinking of starting something in 2021, then look for what is actionable in 2021 so that you can then have your target for 2022 that is even more successful than had you succeeded in that target in 2021. So you've got to think of it as extra time. So in the UK, you can teach, you can take up a short job at a company. You can start, depending, where are you based right now, if I may ask?
I'm based in Daman, India.
In India, okay. So think of it this way. Think of an opportunity to apply for a scholarship. Not a loan necessarily, but a full-time scholarship. If you apply for a loan, then look, for example, the R.D. Sethna Trust gives out loans. Approach them, use this extra time to make your opportunity. Approach them, ask them, what do you want? Add value in a way that's of value to the other person, not just of value, like Farrokh said, to yourself from your point. See, one is having a vision. The other is aligning your point of view with the person who is investing in you. And become that entrepreneur with your own career first, so that when someone asks you, what did you achieve? You're able to tell them, I achieved this, this, this. By doing this, I added to this, I added to that, I added to that. Then look to support your, not scholarship, but your whatever the investment that you got, a loan or a part scholarship, with topping that up by looking for a job. Now, in order to get a job in the UK or anywhere, you need some experience.
Yes.
Correct? So look at how you can use your time in that extra 3 or 4 months to gain that opportunity. So don't find the opportunity is my suggestion. Make your opportunity by adding value and becoming and proving that you are investable. So you turn the challenge into an opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
These are hard times. Everything you do adds up, and it's an integrated adding up. It's a step at a time in the right direction, obviously.
Great. Aisha, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to address some of the things that Burzin said. So I guess my journey has been pretty different to the others. So do you know what is your area of interest? And have you looked at courses or master's courses that you are interested in? Are they still admitting students? What are the deadlines? Do you know that for 2021, if there are still approaching deadlines? Burzin?
Yes. So yeah, exactly. So basically, as Professor Farrokh said, that I'm already late for 2021. And
okay.
So I'll be targeting for 2022. But the thing is, the course that I want to do, that is Masters in Data Science or Artificial Intelligence, there are very specific colleges or universities that offer me that valuable curriculum. So I'm going to target for possibly in September 2022, and I'm going to target for the top-notch universities as well.
Okay, because there are still some universities who do have a March deadline. So I'm just saying that sometimes you may think that the priority deadline has passed in January and it's too late, but they do have some universities that do have a March deadline. It may be more difficult to get scholarship opportunities if you apply for that deadline, but it may not be too late. So if you do have other resources and other ways of getting through, it is a possibility. Like my application was late and I did get through. I went to Columbia University. So, I mean, it's quite another time we can talk about it, but it's just interesting to think about, you know, what course do you want to pursue, and also thinking about your timeline. So if you want to push yourself, it's never too late, but look at the courses that you're interested in and look for the right resources that you can find, whatever works for you.
Yes, definitely.
Great. Anybody else would like to add value? Karishma, go ahead. Nazneen, after Karishma, Nazneen, go ahead. Quick one.
Something very interesting for artificial intelligence is this. Firstly, do what Farrokh suggested, and that is apply for a PhD. Align artificial intelligence for a PhD. Unmute yourself, Farzin, so you can interject. Align your PhD goals with, this is my suggestion, you have to fine tune it for yourself, with companies. Artificial intelligence is constantly changing. So if you apply for something that was last year's artificial intelligence course, it's changed by this year. Forget about next year. It's changed again by next year. Second, there are artificial intelligence courses. Oxford has a 6-week course. Coursera has courses. Coursera and Columbia have courses constantly, and they're free.
Yes.
Then artificial intelligence is such that you don't need to be in the right place. Every place is the right place because the cloud exists.
Exactly.
So you can start working today and build up your portfolio.
Yes.
So think carefully. It's a course that is in the now. It's a course that has impact in the smallest way with the biggest magnitude. And it's a course that is built on teamwork, or it's an area that's built on teamwork. So my suggestion is this: start at both a timeline, but also a table. Compare all the universities you want, compare all the courses you want. Look at the minimum requirements for each. Then choose the course where you can maximize your output through your contribution. Find the university with the professors you want. Start emailing the professors. Write up small projects. Wherever you are in the university you've been, you have an alma mater, you've been somewhere. Go back there, see how you can add value to your original university. Through your professors, they will see you're adding value. They will connect you to other people in the world.
Yes.
And finally, use all this to create a fully financed PhD where you can start ahead of where you would have started had you started in 2021. So listen to Farrokh, go for 2022, but go in not at the ground level.
Yes.
Go in as an achiever.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
then see how you'll turn your professor into your, not just your mentor, but somebody who becomes your sponsor, person who actually coaches you in what he's good at, pushes you to your maximum, and helps you succeed.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I say something now?
Just wait, Nazneen, then Farrokh.
Thank
Nazneen, you had your hand up.
I also mentioned earlier that, even I had the same kind of a case where I had applied very late for my admissions, but of course I got it in as soon as I applied. But of course you cannot apply to a lot of scholarships then because they have deadlines as well. But another thing I would like to say is, like, instead of wasting your time, in the end that, I won't be able, my time's going to get wasted for that year as well. Start preparing for things that you need to learn about. For example, a software or something that you require to work on. So try to figure out to learn that all side by side and prepare yourself well for the course that you're going to go ahead for. So then it's not that you're going to waste your time. You could be well prepared for the program that you're going to pursue ahead.
Great, Farrokh.
Yes. Talking about making the most out of your college experience and beyond, I would say that while you're in college, make the most of it with the help of professors and peers. And after you've finished with your college, you must keep in touch with the alumni. You must find out who has been with you in college, your juniors, seniors. It's a very important and satisfying experience to have an alumni, to be an alumni and an association in the city where you are. It brings great joy interacting with ex-students, your seniors, your juniors, giving them value, what you have studied, what your social work is, and it's a great experience. I'm talking from my own experience. While I was in Delhi, I had with the Alumni Association, being an office bearer, and it connected me with so many powerful people. Useful knowledge was gained, friendships were established, and you progress as well as you want. Also, keep in touch with the Zoroastrian community in your area. Give your services to that society. Be helpful to them. When you are helpful, the others would come back to you and help you when you need their help. It's a great experience doing social work for the community, for your college, And keep that in mind when you finish your college experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to invite Karen Pitawala and then Beram Pastaki. So Karen. All right, so then Beram.
So I just wanted to add to what Farrokh Rustamji just said about the value of alumni. And if you are looking at 2022 for artificial intelligence, for example, or you want to do a PhD, I would recommend that you look for the top-notch universities, because the top-notch universities will have fully funded programs. And that translates into a network of alumni who are very influential. So for example, if you graduate from Cambridge University, you have alumni from Cambridge universities who have created chapters all over the world. If you graduate from Columbia University or Harvard or Princeton, and these institutions of very high repute have huge funds. They've got lots of endowments. So if you have good grades and you get into one of these top-notch universities, the value you bring to yourself for the rest of your life is tremendous. I just wanted to emphasize what Farrokh Rustamji just said. Keeping in touch with your alumni from your undergraduate years and graduate years brings satisfaction for your whole life. For example, right on this panel here, we have somebody from IIT Kharagpur, who is Farrokh Rustamji, somebody from IIT Bombay, that is Adel Dawar. Here are two alumni from IIT in India, and see how we are connected. I'm not an engineer, but I can see how the IIT alumni get together and bring value not only to their own colleges, but they give back to India, for example. So when you make those choices of the university, keep that in mind also. It's a very important point that Farrokh Rustamji just brought out. And before I end, I wanted to say I put a question in the chat box, which I've not yet had an answer to. So I'm going to ask it orally. The question is, how do you differentiate between a mentor, a sponsor, and a coach? What are these things meant? What does it mean to say somebody is a mentor or a sponsor or a coach? How do you find them? Who are they? And how can they bring value to your college experience? That's my question to any of the panelists or anybody else on this call.
So I'd invite Karishma to answer that shortly, and then we'll proceed. Go ahead.
Thank you for your question, Beram. By the way, it was Farrokh Mistree who was at IIT Kharagpur.
Yes.
The difference between a mentor, a sponsor, and a coach is very subtle, but very important. A coach is somebody who coaches, this is my understanding, so please correct me, anybody who differs. A coach is somebody who has excelled in that particular field. So they pass on to you their excellence and the strategies and the skills they use to get ahead in that field. A mentor doesn't necessarily have to be from that specific field, but gives us transferable skills that are applicable in any field. They have some knowledge of the field and the particular area, of course, but those are more transferable skills, life skills, growing skills. A sponsor is one step ahead of the coach in one way, and somewhere takes some skills from the mentor as well. So a sponsor actually stands behind you, pushing you forward, putting you in a place that makes you add value, not just catalyzes your adding value, but helps you, actually makes it happen for you. But in all three, the commonality is it's a two-way relationship, like Hosherdar brought out, like Farzin said, like Nazneen commented upon. It is a give and a take. It needs to be mutually beneficial. And together, if you find the right combination, it's a power team. Beram, is that okay?
I think for the time being, we'll let it go. We'll come back and revisit it in a future ZFN webinar.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you. Karen, lovely to see you. What
Yes.
is your takeaway? What is your comment? What is your advice? How have you grown through this webinar?
What I have learned a lot of things from this webinar. I learned that when you go to a college, it's really important to network over there with your faculty, with your teachers, and even communicate well with your parents and all. And then we need to have a good plan that what are we interested in and also have a plan B just in case it doesn't work out. So maybe in college we have to learn how to be resilient and persistent in pursuing our dreams.
Thank you. Vispi, what is your takeaway? And Bahar,
Thank you
I'm
everyone
coming
for
to you
giving
next.
such. Thank you very much for giving such a great webinar. Before giving my takeaway, I had a small question: is how important is making our own portfolio or website? How much does it help to sell ourselves?
Who'd like to answer that? Yeah, Karishma, and then Farzin.
Very important, Wispy, but don't spend all your time doing it is my suggestion. So if you're good at it, yes, and do it in a way that constantly adds, so let it not become dated.
Okay.
And do it also through something that can be demonstrable. So you'll need to share a little. It's not just a list of things, but a little bit that somebody reads that, they get inspired by it. So it's not just a list of I did, that doesn't show value added. So show value added and show what you're currently doing. For example, if it was artificial intelligence that Farzin mentioned, maybe a course in Python that's ongoing. So don't just let it be a set of achievements in the past. So show how your growth is happening now. People are interested in that.
Farzin.
Yeah, I agree with Karishma. It should be something that you put together that shows what you've done so far, but also what you want to accomplish and how you're going to get there. I have a teaching portfolio, and every time I've handed that teaching portfolio to somebody, I've gotten a job offer before I'm done with the interview. Like, it's really important for you to market yourself. In this day and age, it's really easy to create like a Google Sites to show, hey, this is the things that I've been working on, what I'd like to do next, put some contact info so people can get in touch with you if they want to strike up a partnership with you. I think is really important.
Anybody else?
Yes,
so
could I speak? Yeah,
sure.
could I just answer that question, Farrokh?
Sure.
So,
go ahead,
Vispi Karkaria, you made a very important point. In this age of the internet, it's important to have a very robust and well-designed presence in the field where your name stands out. Now, there's one way to do it is have just your own focused website where you're only selling yourself. But let me suggest to you that there's another way of doing it. And that is you take up the idea of bringing value to a larger community. And I will give you two examples of that. Yesterday, I was on a thing called the Global Working Group, which is Zoroastrians all over the world. And Sam Balsara from Bombay said that the Parsi brand is under attack. We are not selling ourselves as a noble Parsi brand, which we used to have, and we should preserve it. And what is the answer to that? And I'll give you the answer to your question. We have a thing called Parsi Khabar. Now, this is a website which is put together by Arzan Wadia. And what he does is he picks positive stories of Parsis and Zoroastrians all over the world and puts that on that website. Another wonderful example of that is Yazdi Tatra, who's on this call. And a few years ago, he launched Zoroastrians.net. And his goal was very global. He said, all the Parsis and Zoroastrians all over the world under one roof. And look where he has come in the last 15 years. It's a lot of work, And this webinar, which we are having right now, is thanks to the website that he has created. At the same time, you can see that his value as an individual has grown exponentially. So there are many ways of getting your name and presence out in the world. And as you grow, you will become of more value, not only to yourself, but to your Zoroastrian community and even to the world. So your point is very well taken, and I wish you good luck.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Instead of having a website of your own, if you log into LinkedIn, you are exposed to a whole lot of people who are also in your field. So trying to get others to your website, instead of trying to do that, if you can log into LinkedIn, join groups of people who are interested in what you are interested in, give some small suggestions and support to people who don't know what you know. That way also you can reach out to many, many more people very fast.
Yeah, I want to add to what Yazdi just said. It's not either or, it's both. When you are out in battle, you carry a bunch of arrows in your quiver, not just one arrow. So if you have the capacity to have multiple arrows, you'll win the battle. So for example, just to emphasize what Yazdi said about LinkedIn, Nazneen Mistry, who is on this webinar, we met on LinkedIn. And look how things have happened to us. And we have grown together, each one of us learning from each other. So yes, certainly you should have a LinkedIn page. At the beginning of this webinar, Hosherdar from Canada also said that I've got my LinkedIn page, take a look at it if you want to connect with me. And that is certainly you can do that. And it's ready-made for you. But I would not stop there. If you are creative enough, if you have the gumption enough and the time enough to create your own website, just like Parsi Khabar, or like, it has to be your own creativity. We cannot tell you what to do. We can sort of suggest an idea, and then it is up to you to listen to it, think about it, see if it makes sense to you. And as Farrokh was saying, listen to 30.2, Gatha 30.2, think, and then decide for yourself if you want to do it.
Great. So Vismi, takeaway, then Bahar, takeaway. So Vismi, your takeaway from this, go ahead.
Thank you very much for this beautiful answer. And it was a great presentation. As I'll be starting my PhD from fall 2021, this points that were taught, like selling ourselves and how we should prepare ourselves, are extremely important for me. And I've learned many things, like to be systematic is extremely important to come up in life. And I should start thinking about how to sell myself, how to connect to people, and how making relations, deep relations with good people is important. So I would say thank you very much and continue your work. Thank you.
Great. Bahar.
I learned that you have to plan your career path in advance, surround yourself with positive people, and don't find opportunity, make opportunity.
Kiyomi, Nancy, Asa, what are you taking away? Yeah, go ahead. Asa, go ahead.
I'm Nazneen Mistry's mother.
Oh, wonderful. So what are you taking away?
I would just say that yes, Nazneen was not exposed to this. Had she been exposed to this type of scenario before she came to the US, things would have worked out much better for her. So I would definitely encourage all parents in Mumbai and wherever I know to be a part of this webinar. And I would always encourage all parents to send their children, give them the courage to move forward in life. That is what I would like to say.
Great. So Nancy, your takeaway, any comment, closing statements? All right. So we are now going into the closing statement mode. So Vezan.
Hi everyone. Hope you learned a thing or two from this webinar. In my experience, my takeaway, or rather my advice to you, would be keep your eyes and ears open. It always helps staying on top of things that are going on at your university or at your department. I think that's my advice for what you should be doing to get the most out of your college experience, apart from what has already been said.
Anybody else who has not spoken so far, because then we can go through the closing remarks. Anybody else who has not spoken? All right, so let me share my screen and we will then go through the oops. So we are at the last thing. So here, closing remark, Farzin Avari.
I think the most important thing for me is always surround yourself with good people and try to help where you can, and that'll be a good foundation for building a good relationship.
Karishma.
It would be to be resourceful. So the combination of resourcefulness, creating value beyond the resources one has, as the WZCC and the ZFN suggest to us, and in fact instill in us through this series, and to be resolute, steadfast, and constant. So I remember Vispy better than other people because I saw him last time. Him being here again today shows his commitment and his steadfastness to his own goals. So when we get onto a path, not to go away from that path, but to grow through that path, through the challenges, and forge a way forward that adds value and goes beyond the resources to add value to other people's lives while growing ourselves. All the best.
Nazneen. Can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
I would suggest everybody to be adaptable and flexible with whatever situations would come in front of you. Always try to have a backup plan as well, because of course there'll be some or the other way out for your problems to be solved. And look out for better opportunities that are available to you. And that's it. And make use of the webinars that we are taking place over here, which are really very useful because they've been very useful. I would say if I would be in your place over there, when I was planning and pursuing my education, there were no such webinars that I could attend and get knowledge out of. So I would say it's a really good platform for you all to get some knowledge for yourselves, and do go through the videos that we are uploading on YouTube, recordings of these webinars, which would be very helpful for to plan your career ahead.
Yes, Dean.
As you must have observed so far, that we do not have all the answers, but we are providing a platform where you can interact. So even if you are a student, you give and you will get a lot more. So I would suggest that you connect with us through our website, zoroastrianfacultynetwork.org. Subscribe there. There are lots of opportunities, lots of scholarships which are being disbursed, which are being listed there. And of course, try and attend all the webinars. Of course, the webinar recordings will be available on the website within 48 hours every time. So you could be going to the website and picking up whatever you like to view again or whatever you have missed and get it for yourself immediately. Thank you.
Ethan.
Yeah, no, wonderful session. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Farrokh. Thank you, Yazdi. In large terms, basically plan, communicate, network, be persistent, but also be flexible. They're two opposite things, but you need both of them. add value and think entrepreneurially. And I'm sure all of you will succeed with that.
This brings us to the last bit. I'm delighted that you all attended, and we are available to help you prepare applications for colleges and universities around the world. And putting together a good application, a strong application, is very important. And we have experience in doing that. And so if people are interested in learning how to apply for universities, how to choose where to go, what to do, things like that, do let us know and contact us, and we will certainly mentor you and help you make that happen. So with that, thank you all very much. Perhaps we can stop recording. I will stick around. So if anybody would like to continue chatting or continue the dialogue, that would be wonderful. So let's give everybody a big hand.